Hello, I guess it looks like it's about 10 o'clock, so we'll get started and people can kind of join as if they want to still as they come on. But I just wanted to say hello. My name is Lisa Jennison. I am a neuro resource facilitator team lead here at the Brain Injury Association of Iowa. I'm so happy to have you here today with us for our caregiver workshop, and we're excited to be able to bring experts in the field to share their knowledge and information with you. The sessions will be recorded for future sharing on our YouTube page. Please know that we intend to turn the recording off during the Q&A part if there's any questions so that you can feel comfortable communicating with each other and the speakers. I do want to take a moment to acknowledge that our program is funded in part today by our contract with the Iowa Department of Health and Human Services Brain Injury Services Program. I would welcome you to consider putting in the chat function now your name, if you want to, and if you're a caregiver, survivor, or professional, and what you were looking forward to learning today, and then only if you feel comfortable doing so. We will be using the chat function of Zoom to collect and to respond to questions throughout the sessions. So please feel free to answer or enter any questions, and we will save an opportunity at the end of each session if we have time to ask the presenters for responses. And in the event that we run out of time, please know that we will do what we can to submit questions to each speaker and share that information with you. The Brain Injury Association of Iowa staff will be on throughout today's event also to support any additional questions that you may have. So that brings me to our first speaker today, is Benjamin Weigel, presenting an opportunity to get to know Easter Seals Iowa Assistive Technology Program. Benjamin, thank you for being here today, and feel free to share anything else about yourself as you share your presentation.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity today. Let me go ahead and share my screen here quick so I can. Okay. Start from the beginning here. One second. All right, so I'm excited to provide a brief overview of getting to know Easter Seals Iowa Assistive Tech Program today. Again, my name is Ben Weigel. I'm a statewide professional for assistive technology and rural solutions here at Easter Seals. During this presentation, I will be modeling an accessible, style of presenting. This style will include ensuring all text and visual elements are described. We do this, as a matter of practice in our program to provide the broadest accessibility to our information. Simply put, I'll just be describing the pictures in my slide. So pictured here is a cropped image of two young men playing a card game. One of them is in a power wheelchair, and he's using an adaptable game holding because of limited mobility. So who is Easter Seals Iowa? Easter Seals Iowa provides exceptional services to ensure all people with disabilities or special needs and their families have equal opportunities to live, work, and play in their communities. Our mission, Easter Seals Iowa empowers people to live independent, full lives. We make a lasting difference in the lives of over 3,000 Iowans each year by providing essential services to children and children and adults with disabilities and their families again. So specifically, the Easter Seals Iowa Assistive Tech Program helps Iowans learn and access the assistive technology they need as part of their daily lives. What is AT exactly? Assistive technology is anything that helps someone with a task they otherwise would not be able to accomplish. So who do we help? We serve all ages in all areas of Iowa. This includes aging Iowans in addition to those with disabilities and special needs. Any individual experiencing need or their support team can reach out to us. The main picture is of a person's hand holding an adaptive fork over a strawberry. The fork has a thick, round handle to make it easier to hold. The prongs are bent at a 90-degree angle to the handle, making it easier to pick up their food. All right, so 5 things to know about us. 1, our consultations from our experts play a crucial role in helping find the AT devices that fit their individual needs. We do this on a daily basis. Number 2, our consulting services and AT trial options help prevent device abandonment and frustration. I've seen research that has shown that more than 35% of AT devices have been unused or abandoned, most within the first 3 months of use. This drains individual finance resources and creates ongoing frustration. These higher tech pieces of equipment get really expensive, so we are kind of the middle ground in that area. Number three, we have access to thousands of AT devices in our lending library. I think right now we have over 2,000 pieces of equipment. Four, our Rural Solutions program supports farmers and any Iowan in a community of less than 2,500 facing a disability. We can provide additional resources for this Rural Solutions program. We can go out and visit those clients opposed to just an AT consult. Number five, an external referral is research and provided if the needs of the individual cannot be directly supported by our services. Simply meaning if we can't do it, we know who can do it, and we can help you search that out. The top right picture is a man in the green shirt looking at a smartwatch device held by an AT consultant, excuse me. In the lower right is a female farmer standing on a combine next to the cab. Because she has limited mobility, she used a platform lift to mount the combine rather than to use the steps. That's kind of an example of what we do in our Rural Solutions department. Some examples of AT devices. We often talk about AT devices being either high tech or low tech, like I mentioned earlier. Low tech devices are non-electronic or very simple electronic devices. Examples, human note taker, weighted spoons, magnifiers, and let's say sand timers or alarms. High-tech devices may be complex, expensive electronic devices that require a longer learning curve and oftentimes additional training. Examples of that include smart pens, text-to-speech software, touchscreen devices, talking bottle readers, stuff like that. In the upper left is a fingernail clipper mounted on a small board, whiteboard sitting on a table. The board has a suction cup on the table on the base that support individuals who may have limited dexterity. The upper center is a girl holding a bright yellow sand timer, watching the sand go from one end to another. The upper right is a red, easy steering rolling garden cart with a wide seat facing the left side in the middle and a basket for the garden tools on the back. The lower left is a person's hand holding a talking pedometer, which is a small oval device with a screen on the top half and buttons on the bottom half. The lower center is a man with limited mobility in a power wheelchair gaming with an adaptive controller on a tray in front of him. The lower right is a person using a USB chargeable exam reader on a printed English literature test. The exam reader is held like a pencil and looks similar to a rectangular highlighter. This device scans and reads text out loud to the user. So how do we connect people with AT equipment? We do this in three different ways. Here's a quick overview and then we'll dive into each. Our demonstration library and our lending library here at Camp Sunnyside. We demo equipment before purchasing. The equipment and resources for families, individuals, schools, and counselors are all housed here. You can create create a free account online and browse our online inventory at library.ioat.org. Another program that we offer is the AT Exchange program, which is online classified ads that list devices people are selling or looking for. This is directly the people do this. They post what they want and they comment back and forth between like Facebook Marketplace essentially. And one of our last programs is our durable medical equipment loan program. This is hospital beds, power and manual wheelchairs, etc. We sell these for nominal fees for unlimited lengths of time. It's a lot cheaper than going through insurance or directly through the manufacturer. And the main picture is a woman smiling, an older woman smiling using a walker as she walks down the hallway. Our durable medical equipment, we do ask that a medical provider sign off on it so that we know that the equipment is being used for the right purpose. All right, our demonstration center. At the demonstration center, we help clients test out devices that support recreation, access to daily living activities, computer use, learning, and much more. This allows the individuals compare options before taking them home. Additional advice examples include adjustable height desk, Amazon Alexa and accessories, personal care devices, and home care devices. This again is located at the Assistive Tech Center at Camp Sunnyside here in Des Moines. We are all cover all 99 counties, so we do ask that you call and make an appointment, and you can do that by 866-866-8782, which is toll free. And the picture here is a boy with a disability learning how to play a video game with AT controls at our demonstration center. All right, device loans through our lending library. The lending library provides an option to try devices for free. Like I said, before you make that big purchase, you can search the inventory and excuse me, items you're interested in at our online inventory site. You create a free account and request a loan online. You can borrow up to 5 devices, up to a 30-day trial. We can extend those depending on the want for that item. Um, yeah, so once you check an item out, items can be shipped or picked up by appointment at the AT center here. Items can be shipped back or returned to the AT center by appointment. And pictured here is a scannable QR code to visit our online inventory. All right, so our online AT exchange program, which is like similar to Facebook Marketplace, like I mentioned earlier, this program is a classified ads database connecting Iowans with the AT they need statewide. You can search the availability at the Assistive Technology Exchange Program site. You can contact that seller directly, and any Iowan with AT equipment that they no longer need can list those items on that site. And pictured here is a woman sitting on a wheeled cart to aid her with moving around a raised garden bed. She's using an adaptive hand trowel to tend to yellow flowers in a raised garden bed. Our durable medical loan program. The right medical equipment supports living at home and functioning independently. This program loans equipment to Iowans with disabilities for a nominal fee, like I said earlier. Runs solely off donated durable medical equipment, wheelchairs, walkers, shower benches, etc., stuff like that. We sanitize and refurbish all this equipment. Craig, our durable medical guy, does a really good job at fixing all that stuff up. And again, a healthcare provider must fill out an application for the loan just so we know that it's being used properly. Applications are available at iowaat.org and how to obtain a device page. Examples, I think it's right now $150 for an electronic hospital bed, $75 for a manual wheelchair like the one shown in this picture, $25 for a non-transfer shower chair. So it's significantly cheaper than going directly through other channels. Pictured here is a beekeeper using a manual wheelchair and wearing a beekeeping suit, checking in on their beehives. All right, one other course that we do offer, we now have an online training course for digital accessibility um, for everyone that comprises of 6 short modules. Each module is about 15 to 20 minutes. You can take modules in any order at your convenience. You can take optional final quizzes to earn a certificate of attendance. Modules include introduction, alternative text, color contrast, accessible headings, descriptive links, and clear language. To the right is an image of a close-up of a woman using a laptop touching a virtual digital screen. All right, so how to find the courses, those digital accessibility courses, you visit iowaat.org, select online training from the menu, or use the direct link training.iowaat.org. Excuse me. In 2025, we will offer a limited number of 2-hour, excuse me, in-person training sessions. Dates and registrations will be available on the website. So should you like a consultation for that? We can provide additional digital accessibility services for a nominal fee. Pictured to the right is a screenshot of iowaat.org with a red arrow pointing to the fourth menu option labeled online training. That's where you can find those courses. All right, now for the speed round, I'll provide some examples of the AT devices that we house here in our lending library, starting off with the computer access category, and I'll switch categories here so you get a good um, a good picture of what we have here in our lending library. The first thing here pictured is a wireless keys UC board. This wireless keyboard is with high contrast keys in yellow and black font for low vision individuals. Pictured to the left is our Maltron keyboard, specifically laid out to be comfortable to the use of one hand, excuse me. These keyboards are designed to enable people with special needs to enter computer data more easily and quickly. The special shape and letter layout have very carefully planned, taking into account the limited number of keys that can be accessed quickly and comfortably. Another form of the mouse options we have here in our computer access is the Kensington trackball mouse, which features a central roller ball, scroll ring, and 4 customizable buttons. Pictured here is the Big Track 2. It's a USB mouse that includes a large 3-inch trackball. The sturdy base allows the users to easily move and position the mouse cursor on the computer screen while using fine or gross motor movements of the hand, arm, or foot. Once the mouse cursor is positioned, 2 oversized buttons are available on the left and the right, and jelly bean switches may be added to provide some additional flexibility to that. I'll show that here next. This is a jelly bean switch that could be added to this mouse right here, or actually any additional mouses with jacks. These are buttons to provide a larger activation surface, and it is recommended for users who are not able to access such smaller target areas. And again, we have a lot of different sizes available to colors of these. We have a lot of these in our lending library. Pictured here is the Contour Design Roller Mouse. It features a roller ball in the back to control mouse pointer by hand or by arm. So if somebody has some more difficulty in dexterity, you could use that forearm to roll and use the mouse that way. Okay, so pictured here is the Head Mouse Nano attached to the top of the laptop. It replaces the standard computer mouse for people who cannot use or have limited dexterity in their hands. The head mouse translates natural movements of the user's head into directly proportional mouse pointer movement. Move your head and the mouse pointer will follow along with you. The head mouse has a wireless optical sensor that tracks a tiny disposable target worn by the user on the forehead, glasses, or even a hat. Okay, so pictured here is a woman wearing the QHA Zono X over her right ear while moving a mouse pointer on a computer screen that is mounted on a stand. It is a gyroscopic Bluetooth head mouse for people who cannot use desktop mice with their hands as well. With simple head movements, the user can move the cursor accurately on any modern computer or mobile device. Pictured here is Qhu Dwell 2 software, showing a computer screen with menu options for clicking or scrolling. When a user hovers long enough, it performs the action. This software works with any head mouse. Pictured here is the Tobii PCI device that at the bottom of the laptop screen, it has a camera that follows your eyes. It's eye tracking software. Also shown here is the Dwell software on the screen and part of the keyboard. So again, that's one of the eye movement ones where you would hover over these little icons here for a couple seconds, and it would click on that. It's a compact eye tracker that enables people with physical disabilities to control a Windows-based computer with their eyes. Excuse me. So pictured here is Dragon Professional. Dragon Professional Individual V version 16 is a speech recognition software for PCs. There's a lot of other AT in Apple for Apple accessibility, including speech. Their built-in Apple products are with a lot of various accessibility features, and I'll highlight a few of them with different categories here. So in terms of speech, they have live speech, which takes your typed words and speaks them out loud. These are all mobile devices, Apple devices. So personal voice, you can create a voice that sounds exactly like you on your phone. There are vocal shortcuts. You can ask Siri to complete tasks by creating custom phrases. There's spoken content, reads any text on your screen aloud, including letters and words as you type. Everybody uses FaceTime nowadays, which recognizes and highlights you when you're using sign language in group calls. The back tap, double or triple, you tap the back of your iPhone to perform custom tasks. The switch control, you can control your devices using mouth sounds like a click or a pop. And pictured here is a hand holding an iPhone 16 and it's just showing the date and the time. All right, in terms of vision for Apple accessibility, there's also a lot of things. VoiceOver, a screen reader that describes what's on your screen, allows you to interact with and seeing that screen as well. There's magnifiers, digital magnifying glasses that zooms in on and detects and describes objects around you. Again, spoken content reads any text on your screen aloud, including letters and words as you type. Display settings and text sizes. You can customize colors, text sizes, transparency, contrast, and more. Excuse me. And zoom, there you can enlarge anything on your screen, which can be helpful for people with vision loss. There's also audio descriptions, verbally describes every scene in a video. Pictured here is the same iPhone. Next category for iPhone access and Apple accessibility is hearing. You can do live captions, get real-time captions of live conversations and audios from apps. Made for iPhone hearing devices. There are hearing aids out there and that are more made specifically for iPhone devices, which the compatibility is a lot better. There's sound recognition, excuse me, which listens for specific sounds and notifies you when they are detected. They have Live Listen, which uses your device's microphone to amplify sound in a noisy setting. They have sensory alerts, which get your notifications through a sound, vibrations, flashing light, or all three. And real-time text, text to communicate during a phone call right from your Apple device. There are also transcriptions, gives written transcripts of podcasts, recorded audio, voicemails, live calls, and HomePod intercom messages as well. And pictured here is that same iPhone. For the mobility category of Apple accessibility, they have voice control, which can navigate your device using voice commands. Switch control, you can use adaptive switch hardware, gaming controllers, or sounds to control devices. There's eye tracking, like we mentioned earlier, which controls devices with just your eyes. There's assistive touch settings. You can customize how you interact with your touch screen and how the device responds directly to your touch. Pictured here is that same iPhone again. All right, and our last category in Apple accessibility is the cognitive category. They have assistive access. This assistive access allows people with cognitive disabilities to lighten cognitive load and suit their specific needs and preferences. Offers a distinctive interface with high contrast buttons, large text labels, and visual alternatives to text as well. Apple Intelligence supports effective written and communication and improves reading comprehension, memory, and recollection, and more. There's also Safari Reader, which navigates the internet without ads, extra buttons, or navigation bars. There's Focus, which you can customize the notifications and calls you receive at a specific time as well. And again, pictured here is that iPhone. All right, so moving on to another category of our assistive tech, we categorize this in environmental controls. You can turn lights or other items on and off by voice app and set them on schedules. There are smart outlets, smart switches, motion switches, smart light bulbs, smart strips. Pictured here is a light switch paddle style with the display box, which is one of the examples of what we have here at our lending library. All right, more into the environmental controls. You can control temperature with smart thermostats. You can control mini blinds with a smart blind kit. Pictured here is a man holding a smartphone with the thermostat app displaying the temperature at 68 degrees. All right, security devices. A lot of people have Ring doorbells nowadays and security systems. Those are easy ways to Bluetooth to your phone, and there are a lot of assistive technology apps to navigate that as well. The Echo Show and the Slodge Deadbolt are also environmental controls in the safety device category. Pictured here is the Echo Show with an 8-inch screen. Also available in our lending library are 5, 15, and 21-inch screens for that Echo Show. All right, kitchen environmental control AT devices. There are smart microwave oven nowadays that connect again to your phone. You can set those reminders. There are smart oven and stoves, which it'll stop burning after a certain, if you don't attend to your oven, it'll shut it off, which is incredibly helpful. They turn off the stove with devices and they watch for motion as well. Pictured here is a microwave oven with that voice control. All right, so new category. We also have vision devices. This is one of the examples in that category. We have a power mag and stand magnifier. It's a magnification lens that goes from 3 times and up depending on the model. LED lighting. It's helpful for individuals with hand tremors as it steadily resets on a page, ensuring the optimal distance above the reading material. All right, another item that we have here is the illuminated desktop magnifier, which enlarges and illuminates an entire book, magazine page, or work area. It's a 10-inch by 11-inch plastic lens that provides 3-time magnification. Pictured to the right is a woman using the magnifier to enlarge her needlepoint work. All right, so pictured here is the Ruby 7 HD. It's a lightweight handheld video magnifier that can magnify an object from 2 to 24, excuse me, times its size. Think of like an iPad. That's the size we're talking about here. But that also just hovers over text, whatever you need to magnify. All right, so pictured on the right is an older woman sitting next to the Zoom Max Snow 12 portable video magnifier. It assists individuals with low vision. You can read, write, and look at objects or even perform full page content scanning with text-to-speech software as well. This screen is 12 inches, so that's why they call it the Snow 12. All right, the next device that fall into our daily living category but it could be used to prepare food or eat independently at work as well. Pictured here is an easy grip carving knife with a right angle handle with an upright handle to provide a different angle or grip. Excuse me. It provides a comfortable to grip. The angle of the non-slip soft feel handle keeps the wrist in a natural position, preventing strain or discomfort. Also in our daily living devices, we have the ETAC cutting board. It enables a person with tremors or impaired sight to cut firmly and safely. A knife fits into the guides, which makes it possible to cut safe and straight. A person's hand is shown using the knife to cut a loaf of bread. The knife is in between those plastic guards, which makes it possible to make that safe cut and with no slippage or anything like that. So another one of our daily living devices we have here is our single-handed cutting board. This tool is to assist in one-handed meal preparation in the kitchen. Pictured here is a sandwich and a cut up apple sitting on a single-handed cutting board. It has two edges raised and two nail spikes to help assist with the meal preparation in the kitchen. Those nails, a lot of people, you could put apples on it, produce on that thing, just so there's no slippage or those things slide off. We also have a two-handed rocking knife. It rocks the blade side to side to chop tender items. It has a handle on the left and to the right. It can be easier to cut this way for some people. We also have cut preventing gloves. This reduces the injury of a risk from sharp objects. Please know it's not guaranteed to leave you unharmed in all situations, but it reduces that risk. Pictured here is a person's hand wearing the cutting preventing gloves. One hand is holding the knife in the palm of the other. We also have here large print measuring spoons. The numbers are approximately a half inch tall and color coded for easy identification. On that same point, for around the kitchen, we have bright handled measuring cups. Each cup has a different color handle, so it's easy to distinguish from one another. We also have 4-in-1 bottle openers. Pictured here is a durable plastic and metal opener with multiple features, tin lid opener, jar pop, bottle cap opener, and ring puller as well. Another cool item in our daily living devices, electronic jar openers. One of those things you don't think you need until you have one. The automatic jar opener allows for individuals to open tough jar lids. It locks on the jar lid and then unscrews it off effortlessly. Pictured here is the opener mounted on a jar. Another example of that, here is an electric can opener. One touch can open that automatically. It moves around the can, leaves no sharp edges. Pictured here is a long egg-shaped can opener that is an example of what we have here. Another example of our daily living devices is a homecraft key turner. Pictured as a white and blue key holder, 1 to 2 keys to provide additional leverage when unlocking doors. The curved built-up handle is designed to improve grip and provide leverage for easier inserting and turning of keys, ideal for weakened grip strength, limited wrist function, and those who struggle to hold or manipulate small objects as well. We also have button hooks here at Easter Seals. Pictured here are just two examples. We have a lot of button hooks here actually. Pictured are two hooks designed to hook around the small, medium, and large round buttons. These make it easy to pull buttons through dresses, shirts, and collars. Long-handled bath sponges. These are made of soft, non-irritating polyfoam with a plastic handles that can be shaped with a heat gun. Pictured here is a man holding a long-handled bath sponge with showering. We have a lot of showering aids, stuff like that for daily living as well. Other AT for the office, there are OrCam readers that read printed text when you scan it. The Echo Smart Pen can take notes for you. There's loops for noise cancellation, Apple Watch for break reminders, sensory items, stress balls, stuff like that. Amplifier for meeting, pocket talkers, footrests. Pictured here is the OrCam reader, which is a rectangular device that takes pictures of written or digital content and reads it out loud. It's pretty awesome, that device specifically, actually. Well, I kind of blazed through that quicker than I thought, but so how to contact assistive technology program. Pictured here at the top is a man and woman discussing digital accessibility in front of the monitors and the Easter Seal logo with the sunburst icon. The E is in the upper right-hand corner. We have our phone numbers, website, email, physical address, social media channels displayed. The best way, like I mentioned earlier, to reach us is to call us, make that appointment 866-866-8782. Or again, you can email us at atinfo@eastersealsia.org. You can get a hold of me directly, but yeah, again, I blazed through that. I apologize, but any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Benjamin.
Absolutely.
Thanks for the great information. Yeah, and feel free, anybody that if they want to come off mute to ask a question or put it in the chat.
Yeah.
We definitely have a few minutes we can do that. Here, presenting from fatigue to fulfillment, thriving as a caregiver. Christopher is with Anastasia. I'm not sure if I can say that right. Anastasia.
Anastasia.
Anastasi. Okay, thank you. Counseling services in Mason City. Christopher, thank you for being here today, and I welcome you to share a little bit about yourself as as you share your presentation. Thanks for
Hi.
coming.
Yes, yes. Give me one second here. I'm in the process
Okay.
of maybe getting
Yeah.
my screen to share as well
Okay.
with this. Actually, this is kind of a newer thing for me. Uh, all right.
Let me know. We got a
Yep, I'm
tech
just gonna
person on.
shift this over here. Screen two.
Thank you.
All right. And okay, just gotta get to the top here. Thanks for bearing with me here. Didn't anticipate to start up right away, but
Oh, yeah, no problem. No
but
problem.
boom. Okay, can you see? Is
Yep.
my screen being shared here today?
Yeah. Looks good.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. Okay. Well, again, thank you for having me. Again, my name is Christopher Hager. I am a uh, licensed mental health counselor at Anastasia Counseling Services in Mason City. Just a little background with me. I have a long history of working with dual diagnosed individuals. Uh, I've worked at Prairie Ridge for quite a few years, but over the last about 8, 9 years, I've been at Anastasia Counseling Services. Worked in both the inpatient as well as outpatient, methadone and Suboxone treatment centers in Des Moines before moving up here. At this current juncture, I kind of specialize in life transitions, anxiety, depression, marriage and family counseling as well. And today, I hope that we will be able to learn a little bit more about boundaries, but also as how to maintain healthy living within a very stressful and sometimes very can feel like a very lonely type of profession, or for those that are caregivers as a secondary role rather than a um, primary profession. It can still experience seem that way as well. So. Uh, Let's just take a look here. So again, appreciate you having me. All right. So real quick, I'm going to have some participation. Initially, I planned on doing a lot of engagement, but we'll do our best here today for those that are all virtual and everything, as we've made a little bit of a shift. But if you do have some pen and paper or a piece of paper and pencil, whatever have you, or even type out, or even just to think about this, I want you to kind of take a moment and identify how did you get here? Like when we're talking about being a caregiver, maintaining healthiness, uh, how did you choose to get into the profession and or the environment, the service industry? So the first question, why exactly did you get into it? And for those that maybe are working specifically with individuals that have brain injuries, why particularly did you choose to work with others that have brain injuries in particular? Sometimes it's a very simple question, but it can have a very complex and deeper uh, I guess, a deeper component to it. And that's kind of what I hope to maybe get to here a little bit today is we need to understand why we do what we do, because sometimes we need to come back to that. And other couple questions just to think of what challenges come with caring for others? And for those that have been in it for a while, what joys come from it? We want to know what we get out of it, but also the challenges that are about. So, all right, here, just take a moment there and let me know what you guys have. I don't know if we have a chat going on, but if you do have any of that and you'd like to share, go ahead and share with those that uh, maybe you have some people that are in common. So again, kind of along the same lines, I want you to take a moment and identify what brings you joy. What brings a sense of happiness? What brings a sense of contentment? So identify 10 things that bring you joy, that create this feeling. Write them down, what it is and what it looks like. So just for example, reading for an hour on a weekend morning. Maybe it's a sun, we're starting to get colder weather. Maybe that's just something that you think of, having coffee in the morning, reading a book, sitting on the couch, and just having a little bit of a peaceful time. So these don't need to be things that are present. It could be something from our past. It could be something from when we were a kid, even. And it might be even something that is not even realistic based on where you're at. Like, oh, sitting by the ocean, it's wonderful. Well, we're not going to be doing that in the middle of Iowa. So include it whether you have time for it, whether it's practical or not, but just go ahead and take a moment and either come up with 10 things or specifically write them down for you. So just a thought, we want to identify what brings us joy, why we get into the profession, and what these things are looking like here. So I'll give you guys a few minutes here to kind of write some of this down and we'll move forward here. Right. Give you a couple more minutes on that for those that are actually doing it. All right. Hopefully that was ample enough time for you. And even if we don't finish this off, or if you did have time to finish it off, keep it handy. We're going to come back to it, but also hopefully this is something you can utilize and take away with as you move forward here, either this afternoon or even in life in general. All right. So before we kind of look at what we can do to maintain a healthy balance and thrive as a caregiver, we need to kind of understand why the helpers help. Goes back to that initial question of why did you get into what you got into? Why are you doing what you're doing? So generally speaking, the aspects of why helpers or people get in the caregiving field or in the helping for profession is based on joys of practice. We're positively affecting human needs. We're engaging with other people, and we're an asset to not just our community, but human nature as a whole. Rewards as a practice. So by giving something, I'm actually getting something in return. Maybe I'm getting a sense of identity. Some people want to be known as an individual. They want to have like a personal preference of how we want to be perceived. Oh, that's yeah, everybody knows Jane, oh man, she's wonderful. She's so kind and wonderful and is willing to help out and is just really patient, so sometimes identity can come along with that. Social exchange. We receive love status, financial gain, and financial return for our resources. So, social exchange theory says I'm going to give something if I get something in return. And that's why we do what we do. We give out what we do in order to get, finances or even a personal need fulfilled. Sometimes it's due to modeling, that mentor mentality. And sometimes we want to teach, we want to give back. And then also direct reinforcement. I'm being with somebody in the moment and it's giving me something healthy and or positive. Uh, so, this is what a lot of individuals with, working with youth, and especially like little kids, preschool, the joys that come with doing something fun and exciting, and they just come up and give you a big hug. It's that immediate gratification. Uh, Another thing is the gifts of practice, connecting with the growth of humanity, kind of like that joys of practice. We're positively affecting, but we're connecting with human growth and we're adding to the betterment of human nature. Now, we're going to take a look at the caring cycle and kind of what can lead to burnout as we move forward here in a little bit. But in order to understand burnout and maybe how we turn into a point of maybe experiencing lethargy or apathy, seemingly, or essential burnout or caring fatigue, um, we need to understand what the caring cycle has a tendency to look like. So it kind of starts in this circular path here. Starts with attachment, empathetic attachment. I have empathy for an individual and or a group of individuals that are struggling or going through a tough time, and my empathy comes out. That's what the majority of us that are caregivers are very empathetic. We see the pain and hurt and struggle that others are going through. We feel it and we want to help out, and that leads to that active involvement. I'm with them. I'm helping them. I'm kind of in the foxhole with them. I'm in the going to battle, and then sometimes we experience that fell separation after maybe an individual gets better, or maybe they don't get better. Sometimes we lose individuals either through death, or maybe they are leaving us, or maybe we've been redirected and we're no longer working with this group or this individual. We're going to now have you work with these individuals. Well, now that relationship that I had and that hard work that I've done, well, now it's gone. Now I have to start all over again. And so this is where that cycle kind of can continue, and it can be very healthy and keep us coming back, but it also can be the thing that creates a very negative impact on us, the proverbial gift and the curse. If you see me looking down, I just want to make sure that we stay on time here today. So as we enter into this caring cycle, sometimes things start changing. Maybe we start experiencing a little bit more fatigue from when we first started off. A little bit later on, maybe I'm experiencing more frustration. Maybe I'm starting to become a little bit more disengaged. I'm experiencing a little bit more stress of what's going on in life. Maybe before I was able to kind of tolerate a lot of things more, but now I can't deal with this anymore. I'm feeling depleted, a little hopeless or helplessness feeling. Almost people would say, "Dang, are you doing okay? You look kind of down. Are you feeling okay? Are you depressed? Are you anxious? Are you a little disconnected? Maybe you're a little shorter with the other individuals, not just with people you work with, not just patients or clients, but also maybe in your personal life. Am I becoming a little bit more cynical, a little bit more jaded on things?" If we start noticing these things, that should be starting to be like a red flag that this is starting to impact me in ways that I may not be fully aware of. Because burnout or compassion fatigue or even vicarious trauma, which we'll talk about here in a few minutes, this is not usually something that spikes and it's like, oh, that just hit. This is something that has a tendency to progress. So if you find yourself kind of struggling with some of these things, start to take notice. So this isn't necessarily something that is created, and it's not something that it necessarily evolves, is that they coexist at the same time. And what can create that is maybe there's higher unrealistic expectations of me uh, through my work. Maybe insurance companies are demanding a lot of things, or maybe we lost another worker, or maybe somebody's on vacation or maternity leave, and now I'm expected to cover mine and maybe another individual's caseload, or now I'm supposed to be handling this job, but I'm also doing this, or hey, I'm just so very productive at things that, well, I don't know. There's an old school song when I was, I'm in my 40s, and maybe some of you know this. It's hey, hi, my name is Joe. Have a dog and a cat and a family. And one day my boss came to me and said, "Hey, Joe, you're busy." I said, "No, we'll turn it with the right hand, and then the left hand, and then your left foot, your right foot, and then eventually you just get so overwhelmed." And kids laugh and fall down and have a good time, but that's what it can feel like. Hey, you got a little time here? Can you do this? So high expectations, quantitative overload along the same lines, expecting more than one can do. I only have 24 hours in a day, and maybe what is being asked of me is just not realistic to do in the time that I'm there. If I stayed 24 hours, maybe I could get it all done, but I'd still be behind. One of the most common things is that there's an unsolvable problem. We have dilemmas, we have issues, concerns, but problems are traditionally things that are unsolvable. And a lot of times we try to think that there's a problem that we must solve when it really cannot be. Understanding acceptance, radical acceptance, for those that are familiar with DBT, kind of addresses this. Accepting it is what it is. There might not be a solution for this. Motivational conflict or readiness gap in the helper and the helpee relationship. I'm ready to go, but you know who isn't? The person that I'm supposed to be helping. How frustrating is that for those that have gone through it? Those in maybe in the therapy field or even working with individuals, especially with brain injury, one of the most common things is there's obstinance, maybe a change in their moods, change in their feelings, a change in how they engage with people. Sometimes that personality has changed so substantially that obstinance just comes out, and you know, it's really kind of a tough thing. We know what needs to be done. We're ready to do this. You're not. Now you become an obstacle to try to get through rather than me meeting you where you're at. And that can lead to a lot of wear down. Projection of negative feelings onto the helpee. For those that maybe have ever been there, maybe you're being with a client, you hear this a lot. They're talking in the third person perspective, retelling a story. You're doing this and you never love me and you don't care about me, things of that nature. It's like, well, I'm here with you. I do. Even if I'm not, if I'm just helping out and I'm not even like trying to change anything, that continued projection of negative feelings because I'm available, it can really start to wear on us. And we'll get a little bit more into that here in a little bit, but that projection of negative feelings because, well, this is really supposed to go over here because of the hospital maybe made a mistake, or because of, my significant other just doesn't understand me, or my kids aren't doing what they want what I want them to do. And now I'm going to project that. I'm going to transfer that onto you. Don't have the necessary skills. Let's be honest. Some of us have been in this for a long time. Some of us haven't. And some that have been in this for a long time, I might not have the necessary skills in order to help somebody that is in need. So sometimes we demand a lot of perfection from us. And this last thing down there is, I can't fail. I must be the one to help this rather than delegate this, or hey, somebody else can help you better in this. I might not have the skills on that, but if I run into that a lot, I'm going to start feeling very incompetent. And one of the most common things is humans want to be competent, but yet we not aren't always competent. And so we'll stay in something that we're just not ready for, nor should we be in. And it ends up doing more damage just because we're trying to fight through. And understanding these boundaries here about what I should or should not be engaging with. How can I press my limits in a healthy way so I can grow, but not to the point where it absolutely destroys me? Inability to say no, poor boundaries. We're going to go through boundaries very specifically and in depth here in a little bit. Sometimes we're very good at saying yes, but that's one thing about a caregiver is I know how to say yes, but saying no, that I do not know how to do very well. Maybe under certain circumstances I can say no, but I don't want to make other people uncomfortable, or I don't want to be a problem. System one thought processes. I might be asking and engaging with what are system one and system one and two thought processes. But for those that aren't familiar with system one and two thought processes, system one is we give more or less of the same thing in order to try to create a different result. This usually leads to the feeling of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. System one is be like going to the doctor and saying, hey, that 25 milligrams doesn't work. All right, here's 50. Well, 50 didn't work. All right, well, maybe we need to bump it up to 100. That's system one thought. I'm giving more or less of something. System two thought is saying, all right, the 25 didn't work. All right, well, let's try the 50. That's not work. You know what? Maybe that's not the right thing that we should be looking at because this should be working. So let's take a look back. We're going to step back and evaluate the process and the situation again to see, are we actually trying to solve the right thing? It's about evaluating from a different perspective and shifting our entire trajectory rather than just doing more or less of something. So what comes with the territory? We have to be honest. We work if you're in a caring profession, you're going to be in a very unhealthy environment sometimes, and that can really hit. Living in an ocean of stressful emotions, it's the gift and the curse. I'm in the emotional strife with somebody that allows me to connect and continue that caring cycle that we talked about earlier. But it's also the thing that can drain me. There's a lot of ambiguity. Maybe I don't know what's expected of me. Maybe the measures of success are elusive, or maybe they're uncertain. Like I don't know what's expected of me. I don't know what you're wanting me to do, or I don't even know what this is supposed to look like at the end of it. Maybe I'm just told, hey, go out there and do your best. You figure it out. All right. Well, that I don't know what my measures of success might look like to you, nor to me. One of the most helpful quotes I've ever heard in my life is unverbalized expectations are premeditated resentments. I'm going to say that again. Unverbalized expectations are premeditated resentments, meaning if I don't know what's expected of me or I don't verbalize what I expect of other people, I'm setting myself up for failure and to feel resentful towards either myself, other individuals, or different entities. Uh, Confidentiality leads to loneliness. Let's be honest, we deal with HIPAA, 42 CFR for others. We're dealing with such isolating laws. It's the benefit and the curse as well as we talked about. Sometimes that is the hardest thing is I have nowhere else to go, especially if maybe I work very independently. Maybe I have a supervisor and there's 5 of us that are maybe in the entire North Iowa area that go and work with individuals in need. And I just don't have anybody that I can decompress with at the end. Oh my gosh, this client again. And I can't say anything. I don't have maybe coworkers that I can go to. It's a very lonely and isolating profession sometimes. Failure can be a sense of normalcy. You're not expected to do work miracles, kid. All right, so I just failed. This person ended up in the hospital again. Yep, that's okay. This is what they do. Oh, geez. All right. Now I've just normalized failure in my mind because if that's a failure to me, if I identify that as I'm not doing my job, or if this is something that we aren't, reaching goals and we're just having that revolving door experience, I'm just going to start normalizing things that are very uncomfortable and defeating. Regulations and oversights, insurance companies, there's so many different things, rules, regulations of, programs. It leads to a lack of independence and autonomy. Now I have about 50 different things that I got to do before I can actually do my job. For just a personal example, I took about a sabbatical from doing this because I was bogged down in 60% paperwork of a job at one time. And there was no digging out of that hole. Behind on paperwork, there was again not enough time to do all the things that were expected. But most importantly, if I did what needed to be done, it kept me from doing what I needed and wanted to do, which was engage. Why I got in this job in the first place. Healthy, unhealthy work environments. There's cynical individuals. We all have some of those coworkers that maybe they're just a little struggling on times, or maybe they've reached burnout, and that toxicity can really impact. Maybe I have a supervisor or a manager that is very unhealthy. Maybe we have a poor relationship and it really impacts me. Maybe I got into this because I wanted to help people because I went through something. I have my own personal trauma, and being and working with individuals can really bring a lot of that up if I haven't properly coped or dealt with that. Lack of control. I can't make other people do what I want them to do. No matter what I try, I would love for them to do this, but unfortunately, we are given free will and autonomy, and people are usually, the more I try to get somebody to do something, the more do they try to do the opposite. Unexpected changes, there's a lot of ambiguity, a lot of unexpectancy, and if there's no consistency or certainty, we have a tendency to be faced with a lot of anxiety. Loss of identity, both at work and at home. Remember, this is not just traditionally, if I got into this, it's not because, oh, this looks like a fun job or this is something that I can do for 8 or 10 hours a day. Chances are it's because this is a livelihood of me. This is a part of me. And I can lose my identity as an individual. Maybe my identity as a caretaker, but I'm starting to, or a compassionate individual, and maybe I'm starting to lose that. I might lose my identity there, but maybe I need to spend 10, 12 hours a day at work and I'm losing my identity as a mom or a dad or a spouse at home. And the most important thing, I think, is that for those that are there to help others, self-care can feel like it's very selfish. I'm here to help other people, not me. I'm always the exception to the rule. Every caretaker is the exception to the rule, I found out. Uh, I don't know if we do have a chat, but are there any questions here as we move through that? Like kind of before we move into the next section?
I don't see any. There is a chat on I don't know if you can see it or not, but
Yeah, I personally I cannot. So,
okay.
all right.
I'm keeping an eye on it, but yeah, I'll let you know if something comes up for sure.
Wonderful. All right. So this
Yeah,
is some
thanks.
basic stuff. Yeah, appreciate it. We're going to get into the skills here, so we want to kind of hit that. But burnout, compassion, fatigue.
Former drill sergeant make a terrible therapist. That's why it never makes me sad. You do. Maybe we should chug on over to Mappy Pappy Land, where maybe we can find some self-confidence for you, you jetwaggle. I go. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
I don't know if the volume could come through on that. Did you guys hear that all right?
I could
Maybe.
hear it. I could hear it. It was just a little low, but I could still hear it.
Okay, appreciate that. And Geico back when they started making those weird commercials, but uh, that is a very real thing. Sometimes we think those things as a caregiver. We just kind of hit a point where we are starting to crash out. So there's a difference between burnout, compassion fatigue, and vicarious or secondary trauma. And we're going to separate these things out and look at how to address them. So burnout is the emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion caused by chronic stress at a workplace, typically where demands exceeds one's ability to cope. This is what's demanded of me. This is what I have the ability to cope with. That leaves me to a feeling of burnout. I'm not able to get into a healthy point. It develops gradually over time. Again, this is not a shot and then down. It's caused by systemic or environmental stressors. We went through a lot of those things. So burnout is usually associated with the environment that I surround myself with. And this may not be trauma related. It may or may not be, but traditionally it's not. That's what we'll get into the compassion fatigue and other things. So traditional symptoms of burnout are emotional exhaustion and fatigue, cynicism, detached from work. They're just going through the motions, increased irritability and decreased motivation, reduced sense of accomplishment or effectiveness. That feeling like I just can't do this anymore. I don't know what to do. I don't want to go to work. I'm really struggling with most basic concepts that at one time I was thriving for. It never used to bother me. Now we got compassion fatigue on the other side here, which is a reduced capacity to empathize or feel compassion over time due to emotional strain of exposure working with those that are suffering. The biggest compassion, the separation here is the exhaustion is burnout, but the inability or the reduced ability to empathize is the biggest differentiation there. This is something that develops more suddenly. Burnout again is that slow burn. Compassion fatigue. One day you just might say, you know what, I don't care anymore. You know what? Fine. If you want to keep doing that, go ahead and do that. This is a direct link to the other suffering or trauma, that secondary that hits. And it coincides with burnout. Usually you feel that burnout kind of hit. I'm starting to struggle. I don't want to be here. Maybe I'm struggling going in. And finally, one day I just break. Symptoms include emotional numbness, a feeling of hopelessness or helplessness. I'm detached emotionally, that caring cycle. I'm no longer empathetically connecting anymore. And sometimes what comes with it is I feel bad about it. I feel guilty that I don't care. I feel really bad about that. So those two things have a tendency to be used interchangeably, and a lot of times they're used incorrectly. So that's why I wanted to separate the two here. Versus the third here, which is secondary or vicarious trauma. Now, this mirrors PTSD symptoms, but results from indirect exposure. So this is something that would kind of look like somebody who I'm taking in some symptomology, and we'll kind of go through a vignette here, but I'm starting to show symptoms as if I'm going through the trauma that somebody else did. It's related to exposure of trauma, not just stress or fatigue. So it's that constant exposure to it. Can appear suddenly, and the symptoms are intrusive thoughts, images related to the client's trauma, avoidance, anxiety, hypervigilance. I'm always aware, always kind of paranoid in a sense. Maybe I have an emotional distress. So just an example real quick. A social worker or a therapist works with substance users and begins to become emotionally absent, lacking empathy, has little patience for their client. When a client relapses while on probation, they say, play dumb games, win dumb prizes. That guy again. Oh my gosh. What would we say this is? Burnout, compassion fatigue, or vicarious trauma or secondary trauma? It's I'm going to kick in. It's compassion fatigue, lacking empathy. Second example here, a crisis worker who's constantly hears stories of abuse and violence in relationships. Maybe they're the crisis hotline worker, or maybe they're going out in boots on the ground type of person. They begin having their own nightmares and start disconnecting from their own personal relationships, stating that they have fear and anxiety, maybe some even fears of being hurt or abused. What would this be? Vicarious trauma, compassion fatigue, or burnout?
I would say secondary trauma. I don't know.
Okay, exactly. I'm starting to exhibit traumatic types of responses, even though I've never directly experienced them. It's that indirect. This last one, an in-home health worker provides 60 hours of care per week, but 35 of those hours are paperwork, is regularly behind on their paperwork and begins feeling drained, disengaged, resentful, and starts dreading going into work, yet has not experienced any direct trauma with their patients. What would this be? Compassion fatigue, burnout, or secondary trauma?
My guess is burnout. I should.
Yes. Big thing is I don't want to keep doing this. I just can't keep doing this. I'm behind and I'm just fried. Exactly. Burnout, as opposed to a bullet burnout. Those that know the movie. All right, so we got all this stuff. That's great, Chris. But what do we do with it? Maybe I know that what all these things are, but we need some skills. First thing is we do not do this. We want to avoid, we want to escape, we want to shut down and just kind of disconnect, but that actually is counterproductive. And it seems very obvious, but why it does that is not always. So when we are avoiding what we're not avoiding the experience, what we're trying to avoid, meaning like going into work or a person. That's not what we're avoiding. What we actually are doing, what we're avoiding is an uncomfortable feeling or uncertainty. I don't want to feel this way anymore. I don't want to have that experience when I go to this situation. And so therefore, I am going to disconnect and avoid. I don't want to do that. The interesting thing, though, is that it's reinforcing the ideas and the concepts that I do not have skills nor confidence and trust within myself to address the issue whenever we avoid anything. And that's even talking about anxiety. That's why, the idea of this last thing here down at the bottom, why mental health days are actually counterintuitive and actually increase your anxiety. Because every time that we avoid and then my uncomfortable feelings go away, I've just reinforced and amplified those irrational and unhealthy thoughts that I am not competent, I am not comfortable, I do not trust myself to have the ability to do this. And the only way that I'm going to feel better and actually you actually improve is by not being involved, by avoiding. It's going to reinforce that to the point where that's the only way that I probably will ever feel better. So mental health days are terrible. Um, we need time away. That's different. But if we're using it just to avoid and nothing has changed, it actually increases our issues that we're having and our problems. It does not solve anything. All right. So, and that's why it's important to understand what I'm actually going through. Is it burnout? Is it compassion fatigue? Or is it secondary trauma? Because if I'm just avoiding, like even a vacation, if I take 5 days off, like, God, I haven't had a vacation in a while. And all right, well, what am I needing a vacation from? Am I needing a vacation because I've been working so much and I just need some time away? All right, great. Or am I saying I need a vacation so I don't have to deal with this crap for a week? Well, guess what? In 5 days, that crap's still there. So it just reinforces a sense of powerlessness, negative assumptions, and decreases our confidence. So that's why we don't want to avoid. All right, so one of the most healthy things that we can do is boundaries. Now, I love boundaries. I think that everybody needs to have them or understand them, even in marriages. However, people are terrible with them. We don't really understand them because most people think that a boundary is to control someone or something else, meaning you will not do this. Well, I'll tell you something, you don't have the ability to control that thing or that person. This is why boundaries, healthy and true concept of boundaries, are meant to control you, not the other person or thing. Again, boundaries are not meant to control another thing, they are meant to control you. Now, boundaries are very clear inter and intrapersonal limits. I need to know what those things are. I need to know what my own personal boundaries are, not so I can stop you from doing something so I don't experience it, but so I don't engage in something that's unhealthy and problematic for me. Boundaries are limits on what I will or will not do. We'll kind of dive into that here in a little bit. They require self-awareness. I need to be very conscientious and self-aware because I can't depend on somebody else to maintain my boundaries for me. I need to know what I am involved with so I can make sure that I respect and implement my boundaries. They require clear communication when they are about an interpersonal boundary, and they require self-respect to myself and respect for others. I mean, that's redundant. Self-respect and respect for others. That's a big part. I can't set a boundary and saying that jerk, you're not going to do anything, and I'm going to tell you to f off or whatever. No, it's about self-respect and respecting you as an individual, so we can be at an even playing field and do this in a healthy way. Boundaries are meant to ensure balance, trust, and a healthy lifestyle. They're meant to fulfill a need in a healthy way, not just to prevent something, but they are actually meant to try to fulfill something in a healthy way. And again, they are for others. Well, excuse me, they are primarily for you, but they are for others and for you. Other people will have boundaries as well. Remember that. And it's up to us if we want to respect them or not. So other people and other things will have boundaries. All right, so why is this so hard? I said, boundaries are tough. We haven't maybe been shown them right or whatever. People are very, boundaries when it comes to this. I hear people will say a boundary like, no, you won't do this to me. I won't let you talk to me that way. And like, well, they just did. And that's the problem is that we haven't really been taught what healthy boundaries are. Maybe our parents didn't have them and didn't teach them this, or maybe they didn't implement them, or maybe they didn't show them around us. Maybe I had inconsistent rules at home. So that's what makes setting boundaries are so difficult because maybe it was never modeled to me. It can feel like we're being controlled or deprived, meaning if boundaries are for me and need to be the one that changes, well, that's crap because wait a minute, they're the ones that's overstepping it. Well, that's the thing that makes it so hard is because we feel like we're being controlled by somebody else. My decision is being based upon what somebody else is doing, and that is a feeling of being out of control or being controlled by somebody. We might even be deprived, like, oh, I'm not able to go there because that person's there, or I'm not able to do what I want because, or my boundaries say this, but I'm not able to do what I hope to do. Yeah, that's going to feel that way. I mentioned this earlier. We're trying to control things that we have no ability to control. Humans have the tendency to try to control three things in life that we have the least amount of control of, and they're the three O's. They're old things, other people, and outcomes. So things from the past, other people, and outcomes. We try to control those things, and we have zero control over it. I can't, go and play the lottery tonight and impact the outcome. I just don't have that ability. If I did, I'd be on a beach doing something different right now. I'd be here. I love talking with you guys, but it's getting cold and I could go for some warmth. I can't control another person. I can't make somebody do something that I want them or don't want them to do. And I can't go back and change the past because it's already happened. Another reason why it's tough or why people struggle is because they feel that it is a confrontation. And well, I don't like conflict, so I'm going to avoid that. All right, so I mentioned that there's two different types of boundary types. There's inter and intra. So interpersonal boundaries are between you and another entity or an individual. So it's between me and maybe my spouse, me and a coworker, me and a client that I work with. These must be verbalized. In order for me to have a boundary with another person while we are engaging with another person or an action may or may not occur, they need to know what my boundaries are. Otherwise, I'm setting themselves and myself up for failure. They must be informative of what you are willing to do and not what you are expecting them to do. This again, this goes into that alignment of boundaries are not meant to control other people. They are meant to control me. I'm letting them know what I am willing or not willing to do or engage with. And they need to be kind, respectful, and direct. I can't sugarcoat this. I can't be very wishy-washy because I'm scared that you might take it the wrong way. These need to be very respectful, kind, and direct. We can't mince words here. Otherwise, it's going to be left open for interpretation, and then we end up with a mess. Now, another is the intrapersonal type. So it's between myself and I, and it's aligning with my morals and my values and my willingness and my healthiness. It's something that I do or don't do. These do not need to be verbalized to another individual because it's my own personal boundaries. This is that concept of sticking to your guns. What is your values? What's your morals? What's your belief system? What are you willing or not willing to do from a personal perspective? And I need to stick to my guns. And that is what an intrapersonal boundary is about. All right. So an interpersonal boundary, I think, let's go ahead and take a look at how to set them. So in setting boundaries, we need to identify the areas that need structure or limits. This could be anything from how many hours I work a week, what I do outside of my hours with work. This could be even how much food I eat. The interpersonal is between myself and another entity or another person. Intra would be how much food I eat. Oh, I'm going to set a limit of I'm only going to have one cookie for dessert or one scoop of ice cream, or I'm going to get to the gym 3 days per week. I'm setting that interpersonal boundary. In other words, it's a structure or limit that I am identifying that needs to occur. I need to create the boundary or desire that reflect the goal, beliefs, and or values that I have. So the boundary needs to reflect what I'm trying to obtain, what I'm trying to achieve, or my personal values and boundaries. It needs to identify what balance looks like in my world. And we'll get to something here in a bit, but it needs to establish a sense of balance because that's what boundaries are meant to create is healthy balance in our life. Too much or too little of one thing is an unhealthy concept. Too much work means not enough something else. There's only 24 hours in a day, and unfortunately, we live in a world where things like, oh, we just get more of something. But like energy, according to Newton, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred. And that's kind of what time is. And that's why we become so out of balance is I'm thinking I'll just add more to it. The thing is we have to rob Peter to pay Paul. So boundaries are meant to establish a sense of healthy balance. You need to identify who and how you want to be within the situation, not who or how I need to be with them, but how I want to be as a person. Do I want to be kind? Do I want to be respectful? Do I want to be a healthy coworker? Do I want to be a, do I need to be a kind of a jerk in this situation? Who and how I want to be within the situation that correlates with the desired outcome. You need to use compassionate accountability. So I can't have expectations or boundaries that are unreasonable or unrealistic. Oh, I'm only going to work 20 hours a week, but I want to get paid for a full time. That's just ridiculous. Well, I want to work from, 9 until 4 every single day. That's my boundary. Well, is that reasonable? No, there's maybe I have a client that works a little bit of a different shift, and I have to get them to work at 6 o'clock, and that's just part of my responsibilities. But boundaries as a whole, they're not big shifts, they're small incremental changes. So we want to make sure that we're doing these things as we set our boundary. Now, the idea of a boundary, and we'll get into intrapersonal, is anybody remember the old Meatloaf song, I'll do anything for love? Whoops. Boundary. Did anybody ever figure out what he won't do? I don't know. That was always the question back in the 90s when I remember on the radio station. That's kind of what a boundary is. It's saying, I will do this, I won't do that. And I like Venn diagrams, I like some statistics, and this is just a good visual representation. Their needs, what is it being asked of me in order to fulfill what they're needing, whether it's a spouse, my child, maybe my employer, my employee, what my job is. The things that are trying to be fulfilled by another entity, as well as my needs. I need to maintain my mental health in a healthy way. I got to make sure that I'm taking care of myself and getting to the gym. And then that middle ground is what am I willing or not willing to do? That's where boundaries reside, that overlapping happy medium. All right. So setting an interpersonal is between you and another individual. So this, again, if we remember going back here, they must be verbalized. So if my boss is saying, hey, we'd like for you to come in on Saturday, and I've came in every single Saturday, but man, Steve over there, they never ask him. They keep asking me. Well, maybe because I keep saying yes that they keep asking me. Or maybe, for those, from a personal standpoint, maybe because I'm a single aunt or an uncle and my family keeps saying, hey, you want to come to your nieces or nephews' games? Nobody else can come, but, we're kind of expecting you because you don't have any kids or anything. You don't got anything going on, right? You can come to all this and watch our kids. Well, maybe I did for a little bit, but now it's becoming an expectation. So a boundary between that is I need to verbalize saying, what I am or not willing to do with work saying, you know what, I'm not going to be able to come in here on Saturday. What are you needing me to do? Maybe I need to ask a little bit more information. Well, okay, you want me to come in, but what do you need me to come in for? Well, we need to have somebody at the office because this person is supposed to stop by. I can't do that. I can't do that. If it was something else where I could do maybe a phone call outside of it because I'm going to be out of town, I can't make my changes. I got plans. I would answer the phone if you need to. That I will, but I won't. What am I willing to engage with? What am I willing to provide versus what am I not willing to provide? Well, we need you to go and see this person. Oh, okay, that sounds good. Well, they're in Algona. Oh, I can't do that. I need to know more information. I'm sorry, I don't have the time for that. I need to be out of town by 10 o'clock. If it was in town, is there anything that you need from in town? Is there somebody that's like taking care of this person? I could get them and they could go over there. This is what I'm able to provide. And that's what we need to verbalize so we can work together to find a healthy ground. Now, intrapersonal, this would be something more of a boundary for me. And these things can overlap in a sense, like if I'm going to exercise, an intrapersonal boundary is what am I willing or not willing to do in order to accomplish my goal? So if I'm recently a little personal disclosure, I was having some significant back issues, and it led to a lot of issues. In order for me to be healthy and to start to heal, I had to do exercises 3 days a week. So an intrapersonal boundary was is that I know I can't take on clients at 12 o'clock because I have to do these exercises because I can do them in the morning and at night when I'm done with work, but I can't do anything over my lunch hour like I usually do. I need to do my exercises there. So that's for me. If anybody asks, well, why can't you do it at noon? That's for me. I don't need to share with them why. That's for me. I need to make sure that I respect that part of me in order for me to be healthy and to become healthy. Now intra and interpersonals can overlap too. Let's say, for instance, I have a good friend of mine who drinks alcohol and wants me to come out and what I love being around them. I want to be their friend, but I don't want to enable their alcohol behavior. So a healthy boundary is in from me personally saying, you know what, I'm not going to change them. I have to accept them for who they are, but I'm not going to go out and drink with them and enable that behavior. I don't want to do that. That's not something I'm familiar with or comfortable with. I'm not going to engage with that. So I call up and say, hey, would you like to go for supper? Yep, sure. That's wonderful. Hey, but just let you know, I'm going to only stay for supper. I'm not going to go out with you afterwards. The intrapersonal boundaries, I need to know what those are about. So I keep them going. But then I need to verbalize, hey, just let you know, I'm going to go out for supper with you. I'm not going to go out afterwards. Maybe it's supper time. They're like, oh, I got you a beer and come on, let's go out like we used to. No, I appreciate the offer. I really do. If you want to come over to my place, we can hang out. There's no alcohol there. I'm not drinking tonight. I told you I need to drive. But I'm going to head home afterwards. So I appreciate the offer though. I need to stick to my guns from a personal standpoint, but also verbalize what they can expect from me and what I'm expecting from myself and them. Does that make sense? Any questions?
I don't see any, but yeah, it's very good information. I appreciate all the definitions and, and it made a lot of sense to me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Go ahead. Oh,
I
all
didn't have
right.
any
Well, if
other
there's already questions or anything that you do want clarity on, we can go over it here at the end too. But I
questions.
guess we got about 15 minutes left, so we'll continue on with a few more skills here.
Sounds good.
So we have the stop and think fast. So some of you maybe are familiar with this, but these acronyms, we want to stop everything that you're doing in the moment. If I'm entering into a situation, this is why awareness is so important. I need to be aware that I'm starting to enter into an unhealthy territory because I need to stop. I need to stop everything that I'm doing. That means my thoughts, my actions, everything. I need to put a halt on everything. And I need to take a 10 deep breath. Personally, I do about 10. Whoo, all right. I need to bring my bearings. I need to bring myself back into a healthy state of mind so I can observe myself and my environment. I need to be conscientious and aware of where I'm at and what's around me because I need to know where to go from here so I don't keep taking that same worn out path where I find myself on a Saturday afternoon at 5 o'clock where I'm resentful and frustrated and burnout and don't give a crap because I missed going out with friends again because I stupidly enough agreed to work again for the fifth Saturday in a row when I didn't need to. Ugh. Now I'm building resentment and frustration. I can't keep going down that path because that is the burnout path and the compassion fatigue path. I need to observe where I am, my necessities, my environment, where am I at, both physically, emotionally, mentally. And then I need to proceed purposefully and mindfully. One of the healthiest things that we can do is identify where we're at and then identify where do I want to be. All right, dang, Chris, yep, last Saturday, remember you said you weren't going to do this again. You needed this time. You've canceled out on your wife for date night all those weeks in a row. And they asked me, but I'm the only one. Say, all right, no, I can't do that because I need this and my wife and I need this. All right. Hey, I would love to help out with it, but I need to be very purposeful in my next moves. It needs to be purposeful with my intention and my goals in mind, but also in a respectful and a mindful way. And the fast skill is kind of how we get to that point. I need to be fair to myself and the other person. We want to find balance in the perspective. This is not an all or nothing, yes or no concept. Remember, this is balance here. We want that Venn diagram. What am I willing to do? What are you asking for me? And what needs do I need to make sure are held in high esteem in my own world? So I want to work with you. I'm not going to apologize for my existence or my needs or requests that others may have or that I might have, because if I don't verbalize or advocate, nobody else will for me. I'm only going to apologize. Apologies are meant for one thing and one thing only: when I have wronged somebody or done something that goes against my morals and value system. And hence the S is sticking to my values. What I value my spouse, I value my family. And I can't keep giving 12 hours a day because that's just not sustainable. Now I have an imbalance. And I need to be truthful in my communication by being authentic and being accountable. I want to work with you, but I just can't keep doing this. If I don't verbalize where I'm at or what I need, no one is going to ever think twice that, hey, I've been working an awful lot. Permission equals promotion. All right, we don't have time for that. And we would have done that individually, but so that's kind of how we implement boundaries and find balance, is through that stop and fast skill. Stop and think fast. All right, so that's boundaries. But what about some other things? How do we prevent burnout and other things? Well, real quick here, take a moment. Imagine you had 86,400 bucks. What would you buy? What would you spend it on? What would you do with it? I don't know. Personally, maybe some of you'd invest, some of you'd go on a vacation, some of you pay off some debt. I don't know. Maybe do something fun or practical. I don't know. But you got almost 90 grand. But somehow 90 bucks was lost. You don't know what in the world happened to it. Thinking, oh, geez, boy, sometimes I'm forgetful, but I've looked everywhere and 90 bucks out of that. Here's my stack of cash. It's missing. I had no idea where it went. So that leaves me with 86,310 bucks. All right, still not bad. But what would you do with it? Would you throw it away? Would you still spend it? Would you go and do something different now that 90 bucks of that is lost? Just to take a look at that. I don't think I've ever had anybody that says, yeah, oh, that 86, burn it because I'm a completionist. If I can't have it all, I don't want any of it. Maybe somebody's out there, but I've never met them. But the interesting thing is that's exactly what we do with our day. There are 86,400 seconds in a day, or excuse, and 90 of them is how long an emotion will last. Anything after that becomes a choice. For 90 seconds on average, my emotions will be out of my control. I'm going to feel that. I'm going to hit those physiological responses. I'm just going to be whatever emotion I'm experiencing. But after about 90 seconds, it's going to dissipate. It's going to fade. But if it lasts anything longer than that, it's because I'm doing something to keep it going. But more importantly, sometimes we'll identify an entire day or our entire experience or we'll overgeneralize this just because I had one experience that lasted 90 seconds and it created a negative emotion or an experience in me. And I will say the day was crap. Boy, imagine doing that every single day. So that mentality is be careful about how you overgeneralize. Be careful about your thoughts. Be careful about what you're doing with your entire day. And chances are, if I'm still pissed about something at 5 o'clock, about something that happened at 8 in the morning, because I'm letting it live rent free. I'm not coping with it in a healthy way. I'm not letting it go. We need to let those things go so we can enjoy the rest of our 86,310 seconds. All right. So the second thing here is I take a moment here. Again, you're seeing some math part of me. What do you guys see here? What do you identify? Unmute and literally I need your help with this one. What do you see here?
Yeah, don't be shy.
All right. Maybe in chat. I don't know, maybe everybody left. I don't know.
Two
But
times 9 is not 19, is one
Say I
person
got
put.
some wrong answers.
There we go.
that's the wrong answer right there. And 19.
Yeah. Well, I had to double check. I'm not great at math, so
All right.
I was looking, they look wrong. Some of them.
All right. Wonderful. Okay, so I just found the chat. Wonderful. So 219 is wrong. Interesting. So what about the other nine? Or the other 9 out of the 10? Are those right? I hope so. I think I did my math all right. But
Yeah.
it's interesting that the first thing that got identified, and the only thing that got identified, thank you for the person who spoke, is the incorrect one. But nobody said, oh, you got 9 out of 10 correct. Good job. That's kind of how our mentality works. Remember being growing up and how'd you know you were doing well? I wasn't getting yelled at. A lot of us have that mentality and a lot of us carry that. We don't see the things that have gone well. We only identify the things that have gone wrong. And if we only look at the negatives, or if we only look at the things that have gone wrong, or if we only look at the emotions that have been unhealthy or that were problematic throughout the day, we are going to not survive. All right. So real quick here, as we move forward, the healthy boundary and then a healthier alternative mindset. Be careful about what you put your attention to. What put your attention to. So the difference between a healthy or an unhealthy mindset. An unhealthy mindset of powerlessness. Healthy is empowered. I'm empowered within a situation. There's always a choice or an option. But if I'm the strongest individual over my mind, I know I can get through it. I have confidence in my ability. Or even if I don't have confidence, I'll figure it out. I have confidence in my ability to figure things out. It's such a wonderful thing. I focus on progress, not perfection. I'm flexible within a situation rather than having rigidity. Now, sometimes we have to be rigid, don't get me wrong, but the more flexible we can be, the healthier we'll be. If I view an experience as a failure, I'm going to feel like a failure. But if I see it as an opportunity to learn and grow, well, now I'm looking at the growth mindset. Not my job. We have an entire government that says that's not it. Or you call this person, say, hey, I need help with it. Sorry, you need to call them. That's not my thing. And you're like, I talked to them 3 times and they said it's not their job. Now you're saying it's not your job. Then who the hell's job is it? I'm lost. Well, maybe how can I assist within reason? I can't take on everything, but I can help you out. That's a healthy mindset. That aspect of what has gone wrong versus a healthier what's gone well. Comparison. I'm comparing what I do or don't have versus I appreciate what I have and what I've accomplished and created. I live within my values and my needs rather than living in my wants. The difference between wants and needs. Wants make life more convenient. Needs are things that make life essential. And we live in an entire society where it's all about what I want or don't want because our needs are so readily fulfilled, the baser needs, Maslow's hierarchy. We don't live in a world anymore like we used to 100 years ago. Very comfortable living. This is one of the best times to ever live in history so far, probably the best. But we still are the most unhappy that humans have ever been. It's fascinating. That's because we look at wants and needs and that dopamine dump rather than residing in what we value and what is important. Procrastination versus completion. I'm going to feel better by completing things rather than procrastinating and pushing it off. I always joke that future Chris hates present Chris because that jerk always keeps giving him stuff to do. If I just did it in the moment, I can enjoy my weekend. And I think Theodore Roosevelt said this comparison is the thief of joy. All right, so real quick here, we have a little bit of time. So going back to those that did this, there was a reason for it. I just don't say or do things. Everything I kind of like mentioned before is purposeful. Every decision that we make is purposeful, and everything in this presentation, I hope, a workshop, is purposeful. I want you to look back at the things that you started off with, the 10 things about that bring you joy, and check mark the things that you've done within the last week, maybe even the last month if it's something that's not a regular thing. Ask yourself, are my the ones that aren't checked, or even the ones that are checked, are my joys unrealistic due to the activity, or are they trying to complete the activity like we used to? I think I might have given the example before. Oh man, I love to sit down and read a book for an hour and drink coffee on a Saturday morning when I have nothing else to do. Is it unrealistic due to the activity? Well, no, that's not an unrealistic activity. But am I trying to complete the activity like I used to? Oh yeah, well, I got two kids now, and they do not care if I want to sit around in peace and quiet and read and drink coffee. They want to go out and play. So, taking a look at that, we need to find joy and healthy and happiness and contentment in our life. And chances are, if we are not checking marks on this list that you created, and in all honesty, if I would be doing this with a lot of time and like a full day workshop, I would have you fill out 50. We need to have things that bring us a sense of peace and contentment. But the biggest problem is that we get with an all or nothing mentality. I'm trying to do things that bring me joy or that I'm trying to accomplish or that bring me a sense of fulfillment in ways that I used to do them. Thing is, life changes. So maybe it's not the activity. Maybe the activity is unrealistic now. But maybe it's because I'm trying to do it in the way that I used to do it. Well, if I want to read for an hour, I can't do that anymore. But well, especially like I want to get up at 7 o'clock. I want to get up and make coffee and read for an hour. And then by 9 o'clock, then I got my day going. Well, maybe I need to change that. Maybe I need to get up at 5 in order for me to get my full hour. Or maybe I just can't get up at 5. So maybe I need to adjust. And now I only get 20 minutes. Thing is, I need to make sure that I'm creating a sense of fulfillment or joy and finding activities that bring contentment for my life. It just may look different than what it used to. So don't get rid of them, just do them differently. Last thought here before we kind of finish off. Oh my gosh. All right, now we're back. Technology is great until it sucks. All right. Sometimes things are already present, but we just don't see them. Identify 5 things that your employer can do to help. If I'm experiencing burnout or frustrations or fatigue or anything, what 5 things could my employer do to help me out with this? What 5 things could my coworkers do to help me out? What help or support do I need from them? I like to look at this. What are 5 things that my employers are already doing to help out? And 5 things that my coworkers are already doing to help out as well. Because again, sometimes it's our perspective. Maybe I'm only seeing the things that aren't getting done rather than the things that are. And oh, wow, I'm actually getting more support than what I ever thought. Or maybe I am getting support, but it's not the correct support that I need. And last things here, just some healthy habits. If you can implement these things regularly, you're going to be wonderful and in a good space. 1, exercise. Get at least 20 minutes of exercise per day. I mean, going activity. If it's walking, great. If that gets your heart rate up, great. Do it. Our body and our brain will reward us, and you're going to be able to have a little bit more compassion and a healthier mindset. We need to laugh. Find the joy of living. If we are only surrounded by hardships or difficulties or failings or that revolving door or that the unhealthy mentality, that is going to be debilitating. We're never going to get out of it alive. We're going to become jaded. Love somebody. Find love every day. Say I love you to one person daily or express gratitude or appreciation. Help others. Selfishness is very toxic. That leads to shame and a feeling of emptiness because selfishness is an unsustainable and an unfulfilling experience. Will never be filled. Let the little things go. We need to choose our battles. I like to go with the 5s. Ask yourself when I'm starting to get frustrated, is in 5 minutes, will this matter? Or in 5 hours, in 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, or 5 years? In 5 hours, will this matter? No, because I got this going on. Well, maybe it will. Well, in 5 days, will it matter? Well, yeah, it's going to impact my entire, livelihood, my paycheck. All right, then I need to address it. But in 5 hours, if this is something that's not going to impact me, I need to let it go. And sometimes maybe even 5 hours, if it is going to impact me, maybe it's not because it's going to impact me, it's because I'm just choosing to not let it go. Be mindful. We need to plan for the future, but we need to exist in the present. We can hope for a healthy and positive future, but we need to live in the moment. Nurture, drink a lot of water, eat healthy foods. I'm not telling you anything that you don't know, but your body's a temple. What you put into it, it will return. Limit substance use. Anybody who says that THC is a healthy thing for you, it might help in certain aspects, but it's not going to help out with your mental health. It's just a mask. Same thing with alcohol, same thing with nicotine, even caffeine. These are not things that are sustainably healthy. They help us get through the moment. So be careful about how frequently we use them. Get rest. We need so much healthy rest. And if you show me somebody who's not getting healthy rest, I'll show you somebody who's going to burn out, who has anxiety, who has depression, who has a lot of cognitive and mental things that are going to eventually they're going to start succumbing to. Again, we talk boundaries. Healthy people have boundaries. We need to know what those are for us, not so we can control other people, but so we can implement them so we don't end up in an unhealthy environment or situation. And then balance. Time is very limited. We're lucky to be alive when we are. Be very aware and conscious about where you are allocating and spending your time. And then bonus, spirituality. Nurture your spiritual self. It's a part of us. All right. We went over just a few minutes, but I guess I want to open it up for any questions. It looks like we did have one on the group chat here. Any other tips on how to establish your own boundaries, maybe without?
Got my graduate degree at Minnesota State University Mankato as Master of Social Work, and then this is ended up where I ended up coming. One of the interesting thing is I am a person with a disability. I was served as a client of Voc Rehab when I think I started when I was 17, and ended up getting a job with them about 8 years later. So I can speak a little bit to both sides of the program. So just getting started here a little bit. I'm going to tell you this is kind of just our general presentation, but feel free to ask questions or if you need more specifics, feel free to ask me in the end, or even if you want to interrupt me, that doesn't bother me one bit. So, just to start, a little bit more about us. So we are under the Division of Iowa Workforce Development, which is what we call the Department of Labor in Iowa. Our program is, I want to say, 78% federally funded, and then the remaining 22% would be funded through state tax dollars. Our program, we are focused on service delivery that helps Iowans prepare, obtain, keep, and advance in employment. And specifically, we're looking at individuals that have some sort of a diagnosis, a disability, and we need to prove that that disability makes it more difficult for them to obtain, keep, or advance in employment than someone in the general population. We have a presence in almost every public and private high school in Iowa. This has been something that's been a change probably in the last 10 years. When I first started, it was much more focusing on working with adults. We get into the schools here and there, but that was kind of a secondary thing. But what we have found, and this probably isn't surprising to anyone, is that if you can work with somebody when they're younger, and if you can get them working while they're in high school, they're much, much, much more likely to work uh, in the community after high school, which is, of course, what we all want. I want to say right now the average age of our job candidates, and that's what we call our clients. So you'll hear me say job candidates or JCs sometimes, is under 18. So we do have a lot of students that we are serving. We also have a really strong college presence as well. Here in Mason City, we do have a Voc Rehab staff member that is housed at the Nyack campus. There are 12 area offices in this state, and VR is a federal program, so every U.S. state and territory has a vocational rehabilitation program. Now, we all operate a little bit differently, so you can't necessarily live in Iowa and then have your file transferred to Arizona. You would have to sign up with Arizona VR. And even though we're under the same federal laws, some of the different state laws do cause us to run our programs a little bit differently. Here is our coverage area. You can see these are the 10.5 counties that I supervise. I have 14 staff, no, 15, actually 15 staff right now that are underneath me. They comprise of counselors, and that's kind of the foundational position in our organization in that they are the ones that actually do the work directly with the job candidate or the client. And then we have assistants who assist the counselor, helping with everything from like clerical different things to maybe some of the more remedial tasks like helping with a resume or mock interview skills or anything like that. So who do we serve? So I talked already about students. We start at age 14. I should say here too, we are a completely voluntary program. So you can come to Voc Rehab, you can leave, and you can come back. Sometimes we have individuals that over the course of 10, 15 years have 4 or 5 files with Voc Rehab. And it might just be simply that, they lost a job, so they need another one, so they come back. Or maybe there was something in their lives that happened and they needed to take a break, so we close their file and they come back. Sometimes, depending on the disability has gotten worse, or at least the effects of the disability has gotten worse, and now we need to find them a new job. So that is one very nice thing about Voc Rehab. Our federal law says anyone applies for Voc Rehab has to be given an intake. Now, you may not be found eligible. That would be something, but if anyone in the general public just walks in and says, I want to apply for Voc Rehab services, we have to do the intake. There is no maximum age. Excuse me. One of the reasons why I kind of like this position is I see everybody in different areas of their life. So I work with a 14-year-old one day, and the next year or in the next day, I might work with somebody in their 80s that retired, and now they just figured out that, hey, I still need a little bit of income, and now I need to find a job. So I see everybody in different levels of their development. That diagnosis that I talked about a little bit at the beginning would have to present barriers or limitations in obtaining or maintaining employment or training for employment. So here would be just kind of a general example of where this kind of comes in. If somebody comes to me with a diagnosis of diabetes, diabetes is, something that can be life-threatening, or it's something that you just have to manage with diet. So obviously, if it's something that is really affecting their life and their ability to work, that would make them eligible. If it's something that's not, maybe they just need to take a pill every day. That would likely then not make them eligible for Voc Rehab services. Obviously, I know I'm talking to individuals with the Brain Injury Association, and so I honestly can't think of an example where I've met somebody that's had a TBI where they haven't been eligible. So I would say very, very, very good chance that anyone from that community would be eligible. One exception that we do have, we don't work with anyone that is blind. They have to go to the Iowa Department of the Blind. Number one, they have the specialty in that area and the technology that we do not. So even if somebody would be blind and have a brain injury, they would have to work with the Iowa Department of the Blind because they provide many of the exact same services we do, only for individuals that obviously have blindness or low vision. So I'm just going to talk a little bit here about services to students first. I want to let you know that even though these are the specific ones that we give to services, this is something that we do with adults too, if they need it. First one is job exploration counseling. That's kind of self-explanatory. You want to be a truck driver? Well, let's look at what a truck driver needs to become a truck driver. And do you have any physical disabilities that's going to make it difficult for you to unload the truck? Are you okay sitting in a cab by yourself for 8 hours? Or are you a people person? That type of thing are the conversations that we're having. Work-based learning experiences. We have a couple of different programs there without getting into too much details. We do have the ability to do an on-the-job training or an externship. And basically what that is if somebody is trying to break into a new field and maybe they don't have the experience or they're not sure with the disability, if it is something that is going to be a good fit for them, we can work with employers. They can go to work for that employer, but we are paying the wages I think we can go up to 320 hours without any type of an exception. So that allows the individual to kind of try out the job, or maybe they haven't worked in 20 years and they want to see what is it like going to work for a few hours a day. That's what that program is all about. Workplace readiness training, again, kind of a little bit in the name. So that's just talking about soft skills that we may need in the workplace. That could be a mock interview, it could be a resume, it could be discussion on, what do you wear to work at certain situations. A lot of things can fall under that. Anything that we can help somebody get ready to work would fall under that category. Counseling and opportunities, that's more focused on post-secondary. So our agency, the end goal is always to help individuals become employed and be stable in employment before we look at closing a file. And sometimes to do that, people need to get education or obtain more education. And that is something that we can help with. We do have some funding for schooling. It's definitely by no means 100%. I think roughly it breaks down to about 40%, but it is kind of on a case-by-case basis, looking at income and other things that are coming in. But there's many times where, we've worked with somebody that was, let's say, a farmer, and their body just can't do it anymore. So then we work with them, and now maybe they have an interest in accounting. So we're going to try to help them go back to school and see if they can get a job where they're sitting down like an accountant generally would be. That's kind of where that rehabilitation part of our name comes in. And finally is instruction and self-advocacy. So trying to help others understand how they can help themselves and be good advocates for themselves. That's something that's very important for anyone, I believe, if you have a disability. Services to adults, and again, there's some overlap between these, but vocational counseling and guidance, that's kind of our bread and butter. I shouldn't say most, but a lot of the times what we're doing is we're sitting together in a room and we're discussing, okay, what do you think about this job? What scares you about it? Do you think this is something you could do? Could you do it? But we have to figure out an accommodation. I can go call the business and say, hey, is this an accommodation that could be done? That's not a requirement. Some people want to do it themselves. That's that self-advocacy, which is wonderful. But we do have connections with quite a few businesses in the area that we can, discuss with a manager. Sometimes too, it's talking to a manager and say, hey, this person is going to be a really good candidate, but you know what? They have a lot of anxiety. They're not going to interview well. So here are some things to look out for, and here's why I think they're a good candidate. So we do a lot of the advocacy pieces ourselves. Job search, I kind of just talked about that within the vocational counseling and guidance, but we have access to the largest job database in Iowa, which is the Iowa Works job search database, which you can just find with a Google search. But we're always trying to constantly match the right person with the right job, basically. Job placement. So when we talk about job placement, that's making sure they have everything that they need to start the job. Whether it is some coaching, we do provide coaching. A lot of our coaching we do contract out to places like 43 North Iowa, which used to be called Nivik, or One Vision in Clear Lake, which used to be called Opportunity Village, or I think a long time ago, Handicap Village. But it also could be, hey, I need some boots for this job, and we're going to get you the boots that you need so you can do the job. Finally, benefits counseling. I would say around half the individuals we work with are on either SSI or SSDI. So we're going to sit down with you. We never force anyone to get off benefits. I always do say, however, that if you ever want to have some financial security, being on benefits isn't made for that. However, I have also met many people in my career where they should stay on their benefits. It's a needed safety net. But the main thing we want to know is that if you start working and earning this much, this is what's going to happen to your benefits, because we don't want any surprises. If someone wants to stay on their benefits, then we know we can't earn more than this, and then that's how we're going to tailor our job search for. There's other things we can help with too, with like things like past plans, if you are aware of those. We have a local expert here in the office, and we also have a statewide expert that we work with as well. So benefits counseling is a very important thing when someone on benefits is going back to work, because there's a lot of rumors out there or falsehoods that the second I get a job, I'm going to lose my benefits and I'll never get back on it. And that's simply not true. There is a lot of different safety nets and incentives within the SSDI legislation that can help someone go to work while still getting that support. And, as I said, it's up to that person to choose whether they want to stay on their benefits or not. I talked a little bit already about the post-secondary education and training. So helping individuals go to school is definitely something that we do. The person at the NIAC campus, her name is Colleen Dahl. And so what she's basically doing is she's meeting with the students. It kind of depends on how they're doing. If someone's doing really well, might only be meeting with them once or twice a semester just to kind of get an update. We're always trying to tie everything back to work. So we might be going, okay, are you liking your classes? Are you still seeing yourself in this job? What kind of jobs would interest you when you're done with college? Those sort of things. If someone is struggling, she is probably going to be connecting to different resources, the disability services at NIAC to maybe get some accommodations. Sometimes she's talking to the professors themselves and trying to figure out this is this person's disability. How can we help them? Colleen usually is looking at like midterm grades, so she can kind of tell when individuals are struggling, and sometimes that's hard for people to ask help. So she will reach out to individuals and say, "Hey, what can we do for you?" Because at the end of the day, we want to have these individuals get through their college studies, get onto a job, and hopefully be more self-sufficient. Supported employment is the job coaching aspect that I kind of mentioned a little bit. We fund the initial job coaching. So we cannot fund, somebody feels like they're going to need a job coach forever and ever, which I would challenge a lot of people on that because sometimes with the right training, job coaching isn't needed. But there are individuals that do need someone with them without a doubt. So we cover generally, it's such a varied thing, but I'd say the first 2 to 3 months of job coaching, and then we usually have a waiver that takes over that if there's more job coaching needed after that. But again, we are trying to make sure that we are getting that person as stable as we can. And then if they still need that job coaching, we would try to access that through the MCO. Job readiness training. I won't go over that again because I just told you what that is. It's the same thing. Anything that we need to help somebody get ready for a job. And then assistive technology. We do quite a bit of assistive technology. Some of it is very, very simple. Like maybe it is adding an app on a phone that takes notes for you, or it's does reminders and it makes it easier. Or we have done $500,000 vehicle modifications. I worked on a vehicle modification a couple of years ago for an individual that had no limbs whatsoever, and he wanted to drive a truck. And it was one of the more unique ones done in the country. So it's such a wide spectrum on assistive technology, but that is something that we do a lot of, and that would include the training on the technology as well. Just a little bit on how services flow here. So you'll see up top it says pre-ets agreement form or potentially eligible. So that's a student. That's only for students. So for students, when we first meet with them, we used to have to do a full intake, and it was difficult because not only do you have to get the student and the school on the same page, but you have to get the parent or the legal guardian there. So now what we do is if they have some sort of a documentation of a disability, and that can include an IEP in school, a 504 plan, anything like that, they're made potentially eligible. And what we're doing during that time is we're still providing those services that we talked about to students at the beginning, but we're also kind of trying to get an idea of what are they going to need for services, if any, after graduation. And then after that, if we're like, yes, they need services and they want services, again, completely voluntary, then we would do a referral application, which would then set up an intake where we're gathering all the information. Intakes usually take around an hour or so, where we're trying to kind of understand where are the barriers. And not just that, but where are the strengths too? What are things that you can do? I know myself as a person with a disability, we're told a lot about what we can't do. And sometimes we got to stop and say, well, what can you do? There's things you can do, I guarantee it. And those are the strengths that we're trying to pull out, along with the counterweight of what are some of the barriers. Then we do our eligibility. We have 60 days to complete eligibility. Generally, if it's a provider around this area, it does not take 60 days. It might take closer to 30 or even less. Sometimes if we have people that have worked with providers across the country, it takes us a while to get the documentation back, and then we do have to sit down and review it. But I will tell you, it's very rare that people are found ineligible for our services. I actually believe a couple of years ago I was at a nationwide conference for voc rehab, and it's something like 99.5% of people that apply for voc rehab are found eligible. Because generally there is something that we can find as long as there are diagnoses where we could say, hey, this person is going to struggle a little bit more than the average person to obtain, maintain, or advance in employment, and then that's where we hop in. Keep in mind too, disability is such a wide range of spectrum, from someone that's in a wheelchair, from someone that reads at a little bit lower level. We work with all types of disabilities. And then the last part would be planning. And you can see in parentheses there, we have individual plan for employment, or IPE. So what we're doing here is we're sitting down and we're going to write down what is it that you want to do, and we have to agree on it. Sometimes individuals don't always have a great idea of their own barriers, so we do have to agree on it. But generally we do at some point, or maybe we're going to start with a smaller goal and work up to a bigger goal. But we're going to say, what is it that you want to do? And these are the services that we're going to try to do to help you reach that goal. The main thing to know about this plan is it can change 100 times. And a lot of times it does change a lot, because as we're going through things, we're going to find things that work, great. And then we're going to find things that don't work. And we're like, well, maybe that would work instead. So we're going to cross out what didn't work, and we're going to add what more support they need moving forward. To make a referral, you can do it a couple of different ways. You can apply for VR services online. It does not take very long. It probably will take you 10 minutes, if that. Otherwise, people can always call in, stop into our office, however you want to do it. A lot of the partners in the workforce, what do I want to say here? The workforce programs, there's 4 different titles in there. I won't get too deep into this, but we refer back and forth to each other too. So if you would work with like the adult education program or things like that, you could tell them, hey, I'd like a referral to IVRS, which stands for Iowa Vocational Rehabilitation Services, and they could do that for you. When do services end? We don't have necessarily an end date. As you can see in the first bullet point here, services are intended to be temporary, but they can span for years. So I'm going to use myself for an example. I told you at the beginning, I signed up for voc rehab at 17 years old, graduated high school, got my bachelor's, got my master's, and then it took me a little bit. But then I got a job. And so what we're really looking at is we want somebody to be stable in employment for a minimum of 90 days. That's when we would first start talking about, okay, do you still feel like you need our services? Remembering again that we can close a file, and if somebody needs it, they come back and we sign them up. We haven't had a waiting list now in a couple of years. I don't foresee in the near future that we'd have any waiting list. So there's not a big risk of closing a file. Obviously, sometimes individuals are concerned about losing services, and rightfully so, but it's pretty easy to navigate in and out of our services as needed. So you can see services end when the student or adult is stable in their career and no longer need any additional services, and always the option to reapply in the future for services. And that's it. I'm sorry, I talk kind of fast, so I apologize for that. But that is my contact information. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, I see a couple in the chat. Let me go to that here. Oh, thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, perfect. So everyone, our last session today is going to be presented by Angie Roadmaker. Angie is a disability services coordinator with the Central Iowa Community Services. We want to thank you, Angie, for being here with us today. So as I turn it over to you, I welcome you just to share a little bit about yourself as you begin your presentation.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Angie Rodemaker, and yes, I work for CICS, which is Collaborative Individual Community Supports. So I don't know if anybody has previously worked with the region, but it was formerly not that name. So our new CICS name is Collaborative Individual Community Supports. And I have been with CICS for a couple years now. I have a history with working in social work, so yeah. Anyway, so I don't know who all is on this call. If I don't know, Ashley, if you could tell me more about who we have in the audience, maybe that would help a little bit too.
Yeah, no, so I'm not super familiar with everyone. There are some familiar names. I do see some professionals in the audience, and then I do believe we have at least 1 or 2 caregivers here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. So just starting out, the very first part of our services that happens now is what's called information and assistance. So um, if you come to me and you are looking for information or assistance on services, or even applications, I can assist with Medicaid applications, housing applications, pretty much anything that somebody needs assistance with. If you're looking for services, then we go through more questions. I ask more questions about if you have an MCO, if if you're on Medicaid, if you're not, I can assist with that as well. If somebody is looking for services, then we go into the next phase, which is called options counseling. And we look for those services that somebody would be interested in, such as DayHab, SCL, those long-term support services. From there, I either work with somebody to connect them to their MCO case manager, or if there is not an MCO case manager, then we move forward to the next step of trying to link somebody to the non-Medicaid long-term support systems through the HHS. So yeah, that's basically what I do. I have 3 counties. I work in Hardin County, Mitchell County, Cerro Gordo County, but CICS as a whole has 44 counties. So we are all over the state of Iowa. I also travel to people's homes. So if somebody can't come to me, I am more than happy to go to them. I have quite a few people that are not able to get to an office location, so I just travel to anywhere that they feel comfortable meeting. And I guess I would just like for people to ask questions, like what kind of questions do people have? I mean, there's not.
That was a
Yeah.
question that was coming to my mind when you first started, is kind of like, what is the best way for people to access you? Is it like, you travel to people, which is
Mhm.
amazing. I wonder too, like phone, email, stopping by like an office location, what's the best way?
Yeah, so probably the best way would be to call. And I don't know, is there a way for me to put? So I'm a little bit
Mhm.
not as comfortable sometimes with techie type stuff, but let me see if can I put it in is there a chat on here?
Chat. I know on my screen it's at the kind of at the bottom middle. There's a button that says chat, and then it'll pop up on the right side.
Let me see here. There we go. So that is a link to our website, and it has information. Okay, good. Now we have some questions. That'll help too. It'll help some questions. So my information is on the website along with all of the county information. So then you would be getting the correct information of who to actually call for your county. And eligibility criteria for just for me to help with information and assistance, which would be Medicaid applications, housing applications, you name it. I've helped people with their FAFSA actually. So that does not require any eligibility. So if somebody comes in and just needs some assistance, I will help. If you are looking for more of the long-term support services for non-Medicaid funding, our eligibility criteria is a diagnosis. And the eligibility income-wise is 200% of the federal poverty level. I think right now that ends up being like around that 20, is it 23, I believe, 2,300. But yeah, is that what you were meaning, Lisa, when you were wanting to know the eligibility criteria?
Yeah, I think that pretty much answers it. I don't know if you need a certain diagnosis also, or If like
So,
you have to be Medicaid
yeah,
eligible or
yeah, no, diagnosis is a little bit more open now than what it used to be. So now, previously being with the region, it was a mental health diagnosis. Now we are open to pretty much all the diagnoses. So, physical, mental, all of it.
That's great. Does anyone have any more questions? Oh, there's one. Do you help with transportation?
So currently, funding wise, we don't have transportation funding options. I do help people, get in touch. A lot of times people don't realize they can get transportation through their MCO. So I do help with that. I've actually helped people call the MCO and schedule doctor's appointments and so forth. And I've helped people get in touch with the local transportation. Like, we have the Region 6, we have city transportation in Mason City, and I have helped people link with that. But as far as funding it, we don't have that ability at this point. Hopefully, maybe someday.
As far as caseload, I guess I'm just kind of curious, when people do come onto your caseload, how long do you typically stay with them for? I guess it's kind of a vague question, but do you have like parameters on how long you can serve somebody or?
So with the options counseling, it's kind of a 3-month, 90 days type program. But if somebody's not ready yet to go out on their own or still needs that assistance, no, I still continue on. And with the long-term supports, I continue on until there's another funding source.
That's great. So you really are like a really great resource for people. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming, is that the map?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome. Yep. So there you can see too, yeah, because we don't have at this point, we don't have a PowerPoint that's been approved by HHS, so I couldn't bring a PowerPoint on today. But so we have District 2, District 3, and District 6. So yeah, I believe that's 44 counties altogether.
Great. What other questions do we have? I feel like there's probably a lot that we could be asking you. You sound like a great resource. I'm just not sure what other questions people might have.
Yeah, and without yeah, it's hard to know what people are. I do work with the Iowa Compass, like trying to find resources on there. Sometimes we find resources that I didn't even know about, but yeah, a lot of the resources I know about, but we look
Yeah.
on Iowa Compass as well. I don't know if anybody's used that before.
I've used it before, yes. Yeah, it's a good resource as well.
So the funding with the DAP is different than what it used to be as a region. So now with long-term support services, we approve funding. The funding comes from HHS, and it's this SNMIS system where people bill through that system to HHS. So we approve it, we're the approver, we're not actually the person paying the long-term support person. We don't have the funding, we approve it. We do have a limited amount of the short-term services. So there's a program now that we can do if somebody is coming out of incarceration, placement, we can help with some short-term rent, but it's specific to people that are coming out of jail or institution or placement.
Right.
Yeah, we used to be a little bit more open than that, but it's a little bit more specific now.
Great.
So, but I do make referrals to other organizations as well. But if somebody does not have that Medicaid access, then we do approve funding.
Okay, that's good to know.
And yes, that should be the same throughout the state.
Okay. What other questions do people have?
So there are wait lists with the waivers through HHS, which I'm sure people probably know about. But currently, with us, we do not have a wait list. There was talk that there could eventually be one, but we have not been notified of any wait lists with us, no. HAB did not go, HAB is now approved through the MCOs. IHH is going to be done at December 31st. So now we request HAB approval straight from the MCO. So I do know with the LTSS services, nursing, skilled nursing, if that's what you're referring to, is not one of the long-term support services. There may be some like home health type. I did see that listed, but I know that the nursing home long-term care is not one of those services.
Any other questions that anyone has while we have Angie here? Angie, is there anything else that you think that we should know about that would help us in supporting people?
I would just feel free to call. Like, it never hurts to call, like, even if you think that somebody, might not be approved or whatever. It's always good to call because we can a lot of times work with people to even find resources that people don't even know are out there.
Yeah, that would be great.
Anybody can call.
Okay, that's really good to know. Well, you don't have too much more. I mean, we don't need to.
Yeah,
That's great. I mean, just knowing that you exist is, really helpful to a lot of people. I think, a lot of people feel stuck and not really sure who to turn to. And it sounds like you kind of provide a wide array of different services. So,
yeah,
coming
on no wrong door.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and coming on and just letting us know a little bit about how we can get a hold of you and kind of what you do. That's really helpful.
Yeah, and if anybody has any questions, just and go on the website too. All of our information is out there, so feel free to call at any time.
Okay, will do. Thank you so much. We appreciate
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. So that concludes our workshop for today. I want to thank our incredible speakers for dedicating their time and sharing such valuable insights in their areas of expertise. Before we close, I want to remind everyone that the Brain Injury Resource Facilitation Program is available to you here in Iowa. It is funded by the Iowa Department of Health and Human Services. The program that we're talking about offers free phone-based support to Iowans with brain injury, as well as their care partners, caregivers, loved ones, and the professionals who serve them. Our goal is to connect you with professionally certified staff who have brain injury expertise. providing information and linking you with local resources to guide your journey. We aim to complement and enhance the supports and services you already use, always through a brain injury informed lens. So to learn more about our program, you can connect with the Brain Injury Association of Iowa in 3 different ways. By either visiting our website, which I will link in the chat, by our info email, I will link that in the chat as well, and I will also link our phone number that you can call us at. Professionals can also engage with us through the Iowa Brain Injury Resource Network to access educational materials, training, and other supports to ensure their services are brain injury informed. And then again, I want to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our presenters for sharing their expertise and making today meaningful and impactful. And thank you to everyone who's joined us today for the Caregiver Workshop. Your dedication, compassion, and strength make a profound difference in the lives of those you care for every day. We hope this workshop has offered both support and inspiration as you continue your caregiving journey and prioritize your own well-being. Once again, the Brain Injury Resource Facilitation Program is here for you. So please don't ever hesitate to reach out to us, give us a call, email, anything like that. Thank you guys all for attending today. I hope you have a wonderful day. And if you'd like, I'm about to drop those pieces of information in the chat for you. So thank you all so much.